All right, welcome to Town of Fort Smith Council meeting of December 9th. I can confirm that we have quorum. If I can have someone move and adopt the agenda.
I'll move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by
I'll second.
Councilor Tucky. All in favor? That's unanimously. So tonight we have a wonderful addition. We have a delegation from the animal shelter here. Oh, thank you. First, I have to do our acknowledgement. The Mayor and Council wish to acknowledge the town of Fort Smith is located within Treaty 8 territory. Treaty 8 territory also encompasses the traditional homelands of Salt River First Nation, Sabadell Nation, and the indigenous Métis people of Fort Smith. These nations have maintained stewardship of the sacred lands throughout the generations. We honor your knowledge, teachings, traditions, and the land. We're mindful that colonization has not been kind, and we respectively recognize our generational histories and commit to strive for unity in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. All right, so yeah, we have delegation Robin Brown from the animal shelter. So you can have the floor, it's yours.
Thank you. I need to stand.
You can, whatever, yeah.
So, hi everyone, and thank you for being here and listening to my request for a paid animal shelter manager position. My name is Robin Brown. I've been president of the animal shelter since February of earlier this year, and I was actually acting president starting in November last year because two of our board members had to step down, and we were faced with the possibility of having to close down the shelter last year. Unfortunately, we are in the same position again this year. So we have the bare minimum of board members to run the society. We have myself as president, we have a treasurer and a secretary. But this year has really proved that managing the operations at the shelter is beyond the capacity of just a few volunteers. So last year we were in the same position. If we don't get at least another board member, I will be stepping down as president this year. So if we don't get at least one more board member, then our next AGM is February 2026. So if at that point we don't get another board member, the Animal Society will be forced to dissolve because we will no longer qualify as a nonprofit society and be able to continue operating with our insurance and society status. So our request for a paid position at the animal shelter would take a lot of strain off of not only the board members, but also all of our volunteers. So the animal shelter is completely volunteer run, and we do have a list of over 40 volunteers who sign up for shifts 3 times a day, 365 days a year to provide care for these dogs. But volunteering is at an all-time low, as I think many people know. This past year has been a struggle for many organizations. And there have been many weeks in a row where certain volunteers have had to come in to the shelter to do multiple shifts per day themselves. And this has led to extreme burnout and volunteer turnover and also burnout of our board. So with our request for a paid position at the animal shelter, we expect that that would take a lot of strain off of our volunteers and our board, because one of the biggest reasons that it's difficult to recruit board members is that responsibility for filling all of these volunteer shifts. Like I mentioned, there's 3 shifts a day, every day per year, and they are necessary to provide care for the dogs. They involve feeding, providing water, and taking them outside for bathroom breaks, but also a lot of the other work of advertising for adoptions and coordinating those meetings and coordinating vet care. So if we were to have a paid position at the animal shelter, I'll get into a couple of different options for that. But that would take a lot of strain off, and the volunteers we have, most of them, if not all, have full-time jobs, and families and other responsibilities on top of that. So the most difficult shifts for us to fill are the weekday morning and afternoon shifts. If we were to have a paid position that would work Monday through Friday and could take some of these shifts, then it would make it a lot easier to have volunteers fill in the evening and the weekend shifts. Working together in that way, we think that if this support were to be secured, it would be a lot easier for us to recruit more board members, because then the next president would have that help and would not have to fill in all of these shifts, right? Like I said, having to go in multiple times a day on top of a full-time job, it's just not sustainable for one person. So there are a couple of different options that I've proposed, and I think that you guys have been provided with them in writing, but I will just quickly go over them. The first option that we proposed is kind of a split between having a new bylaw officer position who could also work part-time at the animal shelter. So the animal shelter already works closely with the bylaw. They are the ones who bring in dogs in the first place for intakes, and then if the dogs or any animal is not taken in by their owner or is surrendered, then the animal shelter takes over responsibility for those dogs. If we were to have a bylaw officer position who worked at the shelter part-time, it would provide a lot more consistency and clear communication between bylaw and the people at the shelter taking in the dogs, right? It would be the same department. And then half of that person's workday could also be split towards other bylaw responsibilities. So, as I mentioned, we do have a long list of volunteers who are very capable, and it's easy for us to fill in those evening shifts and the weekend shifts. So if we were to have a paid position working, like I said, Monday through Friday, they could work the morning shift at the animal shelter, something like from 8:30, whenever they start, till about 2 p.m., so about half of their day. And they could take care of those most difficult shifts for us to fill, the morning and afternoon. Then we could have our volunteers signing up for the evening and the weekend shifts. And then all of the shifts would be covered that way. Maybe I won't get into our full list of duties. I think you have that in writing, or we can go over it in questions. The second option we've proposed is for a full-time animal shelter position, manager position. This option really would be ideal. They would be full-time at the shelter, and they would be able to not only cover those morning and afternoon shifts, but also take on a lot more of a education and outreach kind of role within the town. So we do some of that ourselves as a nonprofit society, but most of our time is taken up with, keeping up with just daily operations at the shelter. So if we were to have more, like a designated person who could do full-time animal shelter as well as outreach and education, that would have a really positive impact in the community. With either of these options, there is still the possibility that the Animal Society might not be able to recruit enough board members to continue operating as a society. So if that were the case, of course we would let you guys know as soon as possible. Part of this is me letting you know of that possibility. But at our AGM, if it does happen that we don't have enough board members to continue, then the Animal Society will unfortunately have to dissolve. And if that happens, all of the responsibility or the choice and responsibility to continue operating the shelter would fall on the town. I know it currently is a town-owned building, and we do get a lot of support already from the town, which we're grateful for. But it just this year has proven not to be enough. So if we do have to dissolve, then we would let you guys know, and we could pass on our list of volunteers so that you guys could decide if you want to keep operating the shelter. But without a society, all of the responsibilities and costs of the shelter would then be at the decision of the town. So it is a lot to run the animal shelter. We have operational costs, of course, dog food and vet care for all of these animals, and building maintenance. And so if that were to fall on the town, it would be a lot more than simply employing a new individual, like a new bylaw officer or a new animal shelter manager. Like I said earlier, we are really hopeful that if we were to secure this support, that it would increase our chances of being able to recruit new board members. And in that case, if we can continue operating as a society, then we will continue doing everything that we have been doing, right? Operating the shelters, taking care of the shelter's operational costs through our nonprofit society bank account, covering the fees for vet care, and we also have a spay-neuter support program that we would love to continue operating if we can continue as a society. It is a huge benefit to the town, where we financially support people to have their animals spayed or neutered, and it's proactive so that it, the idea is that it will reduce the strain on the shelter and reduce animal control issues in town in the future. So if we can continue as a society, we will definitely continue that program. And we would continue coordinating our volunteers to cover those evening and weekend shifts. There are a lot of other things that we do within the town. We, like I said, do some fundraising and educational outreach activities whenever we can with the community. And we also arrange for animals to be sent down to other rescue centers and shelters whenever they have space available. And if we were to continue operating as a society, we could continue making the decisions to adopt dogs out to people who are interested in adopting, and whenever it is necessary, we would make those decisions if a dog had to be euthanized for medical or for space reasons. As I mentioned, though, we're facing that situation where the shelter might not be able to fill the required board positions, and if we were to dissolve, we wouldn't be able to continue offering all of these services. So if that's the case, I said it would be up to the town to decide if they want to continue and if they're able to continue operating the shelter. And if the town were not able to continue operating the shelter, there are always going to be dogs caught at large or dogs surrendered by community members. And so that would mean a very tough decision to have to put these animals down, which is very difficult. I can speak from experience over the past year. So if that were the decision, it's always possible that the veterinarian might not even be in town. He's only in town every 2 months. So if a veterinarian weren't available, or if the vet did not agree to euthanize, large amounts of healthy dogs, which is a possibility, then it would be put on the town's shoulders or the bylaw officer's shoulders to have to put these animals down by other means that are a little less humane. That would be really tragic, I think, for the community of Fort Smith. Not only will it be hard on the bylaw officer whose responsibility that would fall onto, and it could lead to more turnover for that individual's position, but also for residents of the community and for volunteers. It would be very hard to maintain volunteers if animals were consistently being put down. It would be impossible to maintain a group of volunteers who are willing to continue working in that kind of environment. So I know it's very bleak, but that is the situation that we're faced with. And we have tried our best over the past year to keep the shelter running. But with a bare minimum of board members and not enough volunteers, it has really led to a lot of burnout, and it's just not sustainable for a few people to continue. So we really urge the town to consider the options that we've provided, and really keeping in mind that working together with the animal shelter and town bylaw, we can make progress on issues facing the town with dogs at large and people having to surrender their dogs for many different reasons. So the main reason I'm here today is to give you guys notice of our situation and request that one of these options can be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. So, does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
I'll just two comments, I guess, on a question. First off, all my pets since I've been to Fort Smith are rescues from the shelter, so great work that you guys do. I really want to thank you tonight for coming in with options, not just coming and dropping a ball on our thing with no ideas. So I really, really, really admire that. Well done. I'm just sitting here trying to imagine the town without a shelter, what it would be like, and unfortunately, the only parallel I could draw was my park experience when we used to go into communities in the park and shoot dogs because they didn't have the shelters in those communities. And I know it was the least favorite duty of any park staff to do. So I again, I understand what you're saying about the future doesn't look bleak if we don't have some sort of shelter here. The question I wanted to ask you is, have you seen an increase in this last year? Like, are we seeing a lot more dogs, or is it the pressure on the people? You talked about volunteerism being down. Like, what are we facing here? Is it a growing need of dogs needing to be cared for, or is it a tired volunteer population, I guess?
Yes, I've seen both. It's difficult for me to give any numbers because I've only been president for a year. But I was a volunteer, just a regular shift volunteer for about 15 years now. So from what I've seen, there has been an increase, let's say almost double. And then there's that very unique year of the evacuation a couple years ago, which I think burnt out a lot of our volunteers and board members. A few people stayed behind, and a lot of the animals that were left in town were brought to the shelter or to Northern Hound, and the volunteers took care of all of those dogs. I believe it was over 40 dogs, possibly more even. And about half of those dogs were never returned or never picked back up by their owners. So in 2023, when we all came back from evacuation, the animal shelter was more than full. We had some dogs doubled up in pens if they got along together. So we have really managed to get those numbers back down. When I started, there was only one dog at the shelter beginning of this year, but it only took a couple of months to get full again, and we were back up to 9. And every time we get a dog adopted out, 2 or 3 more come in. So I do think that there has been an increase, and it's difficult for me to give numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Which leading me to my next question. So I mean, of course, given that it's a financial cost to the town in terms of doing our due diligence, do you guys have financial reports and statistics of animals, and how many animals come in and how many get euthanized, how many get adopted out, what their typical hold times, things like that? Is that something that we could possibly get to see?
Yeah, I think that we could provide those. Yes, I don't have them, but we do have a treasurer, and it's been a consistent person, thankfully, for I think about 20 years. Same treasurer who provides a report every year to the animal shelter at our annual general meeting. So we'd be able to provide that. We definitely do track the adoptions every year for the last few years that I know of. I don't know if I'd be able to go back much farther than the last couple of years for adoption numbers and euthanasia numbers as well, but we could definitely get you the last couple of years stats for that too.
I think that would be helpful.
First, thank you for the three of you, I guess, for holding it down for the last year. I can't imagine that was easy or pleasant. This one is more just a general question for council. So we give a larger or like a donation to the museum, and there's a representative from town council that's on that board. Is that something we can think about as well if they're looking for like an additional board member?
I think we'll talk about that when we have in the briefing note later.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, I had something else in my head. Ooh, how would the animal shelter like support if the town were to be mandatory spay neuter?
We would absolutely support that. I mean, how we could support it, just off the top of my head, would be, through our education and outreach. We do, different events with, for example, the Girl Guides came in and toured the shelter and learned about animal care. We also did the same thing with the day camp kids, as you're aware.
Thank you for that, appreciate it.
And we recently did the same thing with the PWK high school careers class. So we do as much outreach as we can, and we mainly focus on animal care and the importance of spay and neuter. So that is something absolutely that we could look at other ways that we could support that. Yeah, and I should also mention, just your first comment reminded me that we do have a memorandum of understanding with the town, and we do receive financial support from the town. Unfortunately, financial support is just not enough, and we even get we get so much donations from the town that help us with our operational needs, but money just is not really the issue right now. Like, yes, it is expensive to run the shelter, but mainly it's volunteer time and capacity that is really hurting us.
And my last comment is just, again, the PetSmart Incubator Program. I brought it up a few times now, but they are serious. I don't know if it maybe is the town or if it's like the larger TLC could get behind that, but the incubator program is running pretty successfully in Hay River or Calodice First Nation. They have funds for fencing, straw, spay, neuter, dog food, medicine, right? It's about as comprehensive as you can get, but they want it to be like as inclusive as possible, so the more people that are signed on to it, it's going to be a better result for the applicants. So something to think about.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Yes, it does require partnerships with community organizations, and we can definitely do more to reach out and really try to foster those partnerships. It's been very difficult this past year.
Yes.
Burnout and volunteer time, again, is just our limiting capacity. But yes, if the shelter were able to continue operating, forming these partnerships would be a big priority for us for the next year.
Thanks for coming, girl.
All right, well, thank you for your presentation to us. It sounds not like a very good situation going on there. Very many volunteers, but it's the perfect time for you to come and talk to us about it, because this is when we're talking about our budget and operating and maintenance, or our O&M budget. So it's the perfect time to come and talk. So everything that was said here tonight, we'll take under consideration, because we have budget talk next week and the weeks following before we pass our budget in January.
Great, glad I got in just in time.
You got it just in time, so thank you.
Thank you.
You're free to go if you like, or you can sit throughout the meeting.
Yeah, I think I'll
Yes, yes, no problem. Okay. If I can have someone move the approval of minutes, November 18th.
I'll move that the minutes of the regular meeting of November 18th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Seconded by? Okay, Councillor Fox. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, passed unanimously. Do I have someone move the special meeting of council?
I'll move that the minutes of the special meeting of November 25th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
You're here.
Not even if you're on TV.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Discussion, questions? All in favor? Passed unanimously. Any business arising from those minutes? Any declaration of financial interest? Yeah.
I don't know if it is or isn't, but I'm president of the senior society and there is a request for a donation in kind.
All right. That we noted. So under our administration for protective services, we have our director's report from protective services. Did you, director, want to go over the highlights?
At your discretion.
Okay.
At your discretion.
Does anyone have any questions from the director's report? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling down. I'm just a little bit, I did want a little bit more clarity. There's two items under your capital projects update. One is, I guess, the fire hall retrofit, which I'm assuming means repairs to the current building.
Correct.
And then the other one is the new fire hall RFP. So how are the timelines of those two kind of things jive together? Like, how much money do we want to sink into an old building if we're going to move forward? I guess that's what I'm after.
Director.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So this was brought up actually at the last budget cycle and has been on the books and been in the works all year. So the fire hall that we're currently in, it is a town-owned asset that has value, and as it ages and continues to be left in its current state, it's going to lose value over time. And so to be prudent and make sure that we're maintaining a town-owned asset with value, we're looking at a mini retrofit. It wouldn't be substantial. Even if we were to issue an RFP for design for the build of a new fire hall tomorrow, I would say that we're 4 to 5 years out realistically. So we still need to live in that building and use it for a period of time, and then at end of useful life as a fire hall, ultimately the town of Fort Smith will either repurpose it for our own needs or look to dispose of it. Hopefully that asset will retain some value at time of disposal or be of value as a continuing asset for the town. So we're looking at that as a retrofit that would really just be the envelope of the building. So paint and repair to siding, replace the portion of roof that's not steel. Windows are all wood frame, single pane in some cases, and then replace floor carpet that's been in there for goodness knows how long, just some basic OHS and maintenance things around that. The time frame of that one, we were hoping to have the scope of work's been created. We were hoping to have at least a Class C estimate and move forward with budget 6 months ago. We're working with contractor on that, so still waiting. I've been pushing to get that information. And then as far as the new fire hall, there's been discussion about trying to maybe even get this table to move forward with housing and WT and try and get some movement on trading land, because we had identified an ideal location. But having said that, we may need to just look at some other location options too, because we can't continue to push that project off. So as of right now, we're also working with a contractor on reviewing the initial RFP document to go for design build, but there's still some more work to do there around a needs analysis, and there's some potential options for what that project will look like. So that's in a nutshell what those two are.
So basically the retrofit is to buy us 3 to 5 years. While
Yeah,
we're in the
and to
project.
retain asset value while we work through the rest.
Thank you.
Good question. Anyone else?
Do you want a higher level?
You can. I was just gonna welcome your 7 new members that you have in the EMS fire department, and recognize that November, you said, was your highest in 7 years, highest number of calls, and that was just for ambulance?
Yeah, so I'll touch on a couple real high level things. Thank you, Mayor. So It was actually the highest call volume combined between fire and ambulance for a single month, I think, in the history of the department, as far as I'm aware. So we, by the end of the month, ended up running 55 fire and ambulance calls in the month of November, and that's combined both fire and ambulance. So that was quite significant, and the volunteer group did a great job. There were some pretty serious calls, and they were handled very well, as always. So I'm really proud of the group for that. And yeah, I too want to welcome 7 new members. They've finished their initial orientation and they're part of the group now. They've joined us for our weekly practices, and we'll get them all trained up in the new year. We're going to run an EMR course, Emergency Medical Responder course, first thing in January. We're also looking at bringing in Wounded Warriors for some more of that mental health and resiliency training for first responders, which I'm excited about. And we've also welcomed a new officer. Spencer Porter's moved up as a captain in the group, so that's really exciting as well. And then just one other thing that's kind of a highlight to note and ties into what we just heard about. By law, ran 43 enforcement files, 19 of which were animal control bylaw related. So certainly saw a lot of animal control enforcement in the month of November. Otherwise, yeah, those are kind of some of the highlights from the month.
Wow. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right, yeah.
The riverbank erosion workshop, how was that?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Heaton. It was really good. It was put on by NWTAC. It was a workshop that was done in the same format as the wildfire workshop that they ran in the spring. They do a great job. One of the best events I've ever been to as far as workshops. Really well organized, great group of people at NWTAC. It was supported by FCM and funding through the CCPN funding for climate change in the north. So really well done. They had geomorphologists and they had geotechnical engineers that came up and gave talks. All the communities on the river networks that are impacted by riverbank erosion were, for the most part, represented. I went with Councillor Cox, which was great. Councillor Cox has a lot of knowledge about the community GIS stuff, so certainly he did our mapping, which was very helpful. And yeah, I got a chance to get some insight on what other communities are doing, some possible sources of funding to continue our work around assessments and planning for what we could do in our instance. I gave a presentation on what Fort Smith has seen and done over the years in terms of our riverbank erosion and landslide issues, so on the whole, very good, yeah.
All right. All right, Councillor Cox.
Yeah, I think the other one I was gonna mention, I'll speak to the riverbank workshop briefly as well, just, I was gonna say for the end of the meeting, the roundtable, but I can do it here since we're on the topic.
Sorry.
Yeah, the other one worth mentioning, but in terms of your guys' work though, kudos for the food and toy drive this weekend. It was a cold day to be out there. I've done it many times, and it was, yeah, even more appreciative of it when I can sit at home in my warm house and watch you guys do it, so good work. Like Adam said, the riverbank erosion workshop was great. A big takeaway I took from it is how far along we are in the process compared to a lot of the other communities in the north. I thought that we had some of the bigger issues, but you look at a lot of the other communities and they're talking about having to pull houses away and where to put people in the interim during high risk areas, and can they put people in hotels and this and that, and you know, really when you look, they talk about the kind of the 5 phases of dealing with landslide and slope stability, and we're at like 4.5. We still have a lot of work to do. We have to, you know, we're doing the monitoring right now, but what I was saying up there, what we need to do now is identify, you know, how many meters can we expect to lose and how many years, right? And do that risk assessment, and then figure out the mitigation, and then the dollars, because obviously a big task. But in terms of when you start looking at things, you think about all our major infrastructure is relatively safe and moved back, and all our residential stuff is backing away, right? And we all know the history of that and how important that is. So I do feel better after going to this about where we are, and there's still work to be done, but we're in a good place, I think, and we got some competent people working on it, so. I look forward to seeing the updated slope monitoring, big stuff that's going on right now.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. All right, well, thank you for your reports. We'll move on to then we have in our package here, it's a briefing note just for our information, so for what the options are looking for in regards to the animal shelter operation and support. More detailed from the director about what our options will look like as we look at budget implications of that on the town. Did you want to speak to it, Director? Yeah.
Sure, yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I gave a few options and they aligned with some of the options that we just heard in that delegation. So yeah, again, kudos to coming up with some ideas there. And I gave 4, and I thought that I would give options kind of from fairly expensive to our current reality, because at the end of the day, we need to decide, you folks need to decide on a level of service and the cost associated with it. So option 1 was to increase annual contribution to the Animal Society in a way that's significant enough that the society themselves could hire a part-time contractor or a staff member, manage that person, and continue to provide the service and do some of the admin and extra work. So that's one potential option, and I don't think that was necessarily brought up in the delegation, but something that could be discussed with the society. And there's some associated financial implications with that one. Option 2 was to issue an RFP for a contractor to fully operate the shelter. So the town of Fort Smith goes out and finds a third-party contractor, and we manage that contract, and the town of Fort Smith supports that contractor, continuing to work with the Fort Smith Animal Society, provided the Animal Society is able to continue to operate. And so it would be a contractor that would be doing the Monday to Friday work that Robin mentioned was challenging, and then the volunteer group could continue to support extra time with animals, evenings, weekends. However, that relationship ended up working out. Option 3, shelter operations managed by a municipal bylaw officer and supported by the Fort Smith Animal Society, which was one of the options that was talked about during the delegation. That is potentially possible with a couple of caveats. If we were to have our current bylaw enforcement officer take that on, we would greatly reduce our bylaw enforcement level of service, more than in half, I would say. Just given trying to transition from one thing to the other over the course of the day and lost time and efficiencies there. Versus, exactly as was recommended or suggested, hiring a second bylaw officer that could do some extra bylaw enforcement work while supporting the operation of the animal shelter. Again, hopefully in partnership with an ongoing animal society, because volunteers are great. Having that extra time with the animals is wonderful. And then option 4, because really maybe this is all the town can do realistically, is just maintain the current level of service and work with the Animal Society to see how we can move forward at essentially the status quo. So maybe that isn't a feasible option for the society, but just provided it is one of the options that should be considered from a financial standpoint. So I provided those just 4 options as a starting point for consideration during budget deliberations.
Are these options brought up in the budget they're gonna present next week? Is one of these options presented in the budget that we're gonna get presented next week?
So
We haven't incorporated any of those options into the budget at this time yet. We're still working on the numbers and seeing where they come out. We'll be presenting the first draft of the budget to you next week, and depending on council's level of comfort, and we'll also be holding a budget workshop on the 22nd. So as part of those discussions, You can consider the information that's being provided by the Animal Society as well as the bylaw officer here, and then we can discuss options and how to incorporate that into the budget at whatever level council decides at that time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Just clarify for me, Jim, because I'm not a finance whiz, the money that we take in fines and fees, I mentioned in an email, just a general question, but the money we take in for those things, does it go directly back to the animal shelter, or does it disappear to the town budget?
All, unless it's restricted grants or something of that type, all revenue that comes into the town goes into the general operating fund and is used to support all operations within the town.
So I'm thinking the daycare on my other side of my brain going, okay, it brings in revenue and it pays for the daycare. And that type of structure be set up for an animal shelter, or at least to help feed money towards them in a money sense? Similar to the daycare, like the whatever they bring in goes to them?
I don't know if that's, they said they have lots of money.
Well,
Yeah.
they have lots of money, they have money,
Yeah.
but it's part of the solution, I'm thinking, it's not the whole solution.
I mean, that's one thing that we can look at. I don't think that the revenue from fines, animals running at large and the time that they spend in the shelter before they're returned, would support, the society or another bylaw officer position or that type of thing. So, yeah, the danger with earmarking funds for a specific purpose is that then you're limited. Now you have to raise funds to cover the budget from some other needs. So, I mean, those are certainly options that we can consider as we have our budget deliberations. And, we can present what that would look like, but perhaps the director could speak more about what the level of fines are. It's not that significant, I don't believe.
No, yeah, thank you, SAO. So I believe I responded in the email. Yeah, so really our fine structure right now for a dog at large would be $50 when we get a dog and we fine a person. So $50 per incident. It escalates from their second offense, third offense, but really it's, I believe, 50, 100, 150, so maximum 150. And that would be for a third offense. At the time of third offense, we would take the dog and it would not be returned to owner, so there'd be no further revenue generated. Whereas a first offense, say there's $50. If it's in the animal shelter for days, $15 per day for the first 3 days, and then the Animal Society determines whether or not they want to adopt the dog and take it on from there. So really, $95 would be the revenue generated or the fees, fines associated with the capture of a dog. The challenge with raising that too much is that many of the animals that we bring in are returned to their owner because it's affordable to pay the fees and fines and get their dog back. If the fees and fines are too high, then yes, there's some revenue generated, but that's another animal that will stay in the shelter and further burden the volunteer group. So there's a balance there. But that's the reality right now. So under $5,000 a year would be generated.
So it's not gonna be a huge amount. He said that, I just wanted to make clear in my head, so
Yeah.
because I think there's gonna be a lot of different pieces of this solution. One of them may be a bit of money, one will be time, and we'll have to piece that together, so.
All right. Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, in option 3, there's kind of a sub option of having an additional bylaw officer. And so I'd just be curious to hear from you, Director McNabb, about, like the other side of things, maybe beyond the animal shelter, how that would kind of impact like the work you do and, maybe the timing, the additional bylaw officer that the town would have, how that would affect what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor. I think that there is some significant benefit that could be enjoyed by that option. Animals don't necessarily need to be fed and cared for at 7 in the morning. We could shift their day and their feeding schedule a little bit. And so if we shifted that bylaw officer schedule, certainly there has been interest brought to me from the public many times for some evening and weekend bylaw enforcement. So if our regular bylaw enforcement is 8 to 5, we could shift that other position to 10 to 7. And we could have some of that evening time bylaw enforcement. Animals could be fed at 10 and 6 and, you know, offset by the volunteer group whenever appropriate, however that relationship may work. But by having more bylaw presence, especially in the evening, we may be able to further tackle some of the animal control issues, as well as traffic control issues and noise issues and other concerns that are raised by a lot of residents about evenings and weekends. That could also be shifted into the weekends, and maybe the society takes on Thursday, Friday, and that position does Saturday, Sunday. I mean, there's many options that I think could benefit us, but there would be a significant cost to that option. Nothing's free.
Alright. Oh, sorry, yeah.
I guess a couple of points, I guess, a comment on Mike's thing, a question with mine. Hopefully what I see is when we get a revised bylaw and better education and spay and neuter programs, the fine thing starts to disappear, so we don't want to tie it to their funding, hopefully, if everything goes right. Now I've lost my train of thought altogether. I guess I had a question about, my first thought when we start talking about second bylaw position would be, evening, weekends is great. And then I started thinking about logistics in terms of supervision and vehicles and communications, and it's a bigger thing. It's not just a matter of putting somebody in a seat, which is something to consider. And I guess the ultimate question, I don't know, maybe if SAO can guide us on this, but what is our steps forward as a council? Like, should this kind of go towards a working group or a committee, or I really like the idea of council representation on the animal shelter board. I think that was, first I was thinking it was a conflict of interest, but then as soon as somebody said a representative, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, it leads to partnerships. But I'm trying to figure out the process to make sure that stuff gets discussed properly and get to where we want to go. Any thoughts on that, or does anybody have thoughts on that?
SAO?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, we plan on presenting a draft budget to council at next week's council meeting. We will not incorporate any of the options that have been presented either by the Animal Society or by the director as part of that discussion. But again, on December 22nd, when we have our workshop, that's the time when we can discuss that. We're going to discuss that in conjunction with levels of service and the overall cost and what that looks like as far as generating additional revenue to cover that. And I think the director would be able to better identify then the sort of the drawbacks to a second bylaw officer working alone, being out there and engaging the public in the evenings with, no supervision, no backup, that type of thing. So there are a number of other factors that go into that. And we can have those discussions during our workshop when, we're able to do that in a more free environment. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that works.
Do you think this would be something for one of our advisory boards to come back to us with? I'm not sure which one, but I'm just, something like this is a new idea, a new level of service, a new thing that we're potentially taking on. Give us some feedback. Would that be like a sustainable development advisory board? I don't know which board. Community services advisory board?
I did look into, I asked the executive secretary to look at today regarding your question about the advisory boards. And I believe on most of the advisory boards, the appointment of the people who are on those boards expires at the end of this year. So if that's something that you wanted to do in the new year, you'll have to appoint people to the advisory boards and then task them with looking at this issue. And so that's not going to be a quick solution, but it's certainly something to gain more public input on what options that you should be looking at.
Thank you. All right. No other discussion, that was just for an advisement for us to take under information for next week's discussion. We're all good? Okay, so we'll move on. So we have a briefing note for the property sale of 9 Whitford. Can someone move that? No one's gonna put their hand up now.
I move the council approve this application and move forward with the writing of a land disposal bylaw for 9 Whitford Road.
Thank you. Seconded by Deputy Mayor.
We got this one, that's right.
Discussion? All in favor? Passed unanimously. Oops. I moved my computer first. All right, so we're moving into corporate services. Yay! This is your first corporate services as our corporate service director. So as always in our package, we have our reports. If you want to give us a high level review or if you're open for questions.
Yeah, thank you. I guess, you know, as my first director's report to council, pretty broad strokes starting out, a lot to learn. I will have officially been in this community a month as of Sunday. So learning a lot to really get into with the budget. And that right now is front of mind entirely. We are working on a really robust presentation that, like SAO had alluded to, will happen in almost a two-part delivery. First part will be a discussion. The second part is intended to be a workshop during which we will identify some of the broader strokes with regard to operation, maybe some financial considerations to do with the management of the town that would add a greater dimension to understanding the budget and to understanding some of the intention behind some of the line items. And then further to that, we have, some of the other branches of corporate services working hard as well. We have our new incumbent in our human resources division. She has presented us with a really robust training schedule for 2026 that would see all town employees receiving some sort of broad strokes personal development, things like respect for workplace training, constant conflict resolution, things like that, may not be quite very position specific, but benefits the employees overall, and I think will help with creating a more robust sense of team amongst everybody. And then further to that as well, we have been closing out periods and readying things in the accounts for the start of the new year in January. So as we are looking through all the actuals that have occurred over the past 11 and a bit months, we are as well looking down the road, not just in terms of the budget preparation, but in terms of strategic goals and identifying milestones for the coming months and laying some really good groundwork for some of the plans that are being laid, in the budgetary line items.
Thank you. Is there questions for the corporate services director on the report? Yeah. Go ahead, Councilor Healy.
This one has to do with property assessment. So how are we gonna communicate it out with our town people?
So thank you. There has been a little bit of discussion about this already. I know that at a previous meeting, it was included in the minutes as well, that there is some concern that the outcome of the assessments will and could potentially be misconstrued as being representative of the forthcoming mill rate and things. And so in that meeting and at that time, the suggestion was made that a really robust communique be sort of circulated within the community to provide the distinction between those two things and to reassure residents that the size of the advancement of the assessments is not indicative of what the mill rate will be. And obviously, as SAO had mentioned, we are working through the budget line by line to see where we will stand with things like increases to fees and taxes and things. So the intention is to engage our current economic and tourism development officer, who has, I mean, everybody knows that Daniel has wonderful skill in graphic design. So the intention was to engage a little bit of design work in a way to make it very sort of public facing and approachable, use a lot of relatable points, some good like governmental plain language, things like that, make it a very approachable document, make sure it is widely circulated, website, you know, social medias, things like that. And while it is still in the state of kind of a suggestion at this point, it does feel like, excuse me, the most responsible approach. And so far in the cursory discussions we have had about circulating that communication, we internally haven't yet encountered any reason not to, and it does, like I say, feel like the most responsible route, so that we can avoid any unnecessary confusion or maybe some irritation or anything on the part of any of the members of the community.
Masicho.
Thank you. Any other questions on the director's report? Okay. Moving on then, on the accounts paid list, this is all listed there. And then going through our correspondence. Again, I really like the layout. You can see what we've got, and then the action behind it, like whether it's for information or if, you know, there's a briefing note for us. Is there any questions on the correspondence? Yeah.
Just a question, so in terms of response to tasks, as there's briefing notes presented to council, is that?
Yeah, so
This,
this,
or is there
this is,
gonna be
no, it's
another
in
brief-
here. It's
It
in,
is
this
for-
one specifically is in
Oh,
here.
yeah, okay.
That's
I
the
see it
senior
now.
society one.
Yeah, okay,
Either I
Got it.
directly talk to somebody or
Yeah.
reply to them
I
directly.
got it, makes sense, just making sure it was captured.
Any questions about the correspondence?
Did I see a Frolics one, or was that a draft this week?
They might have sent an email, it's not in this package.
Okay, I was just wondering, 'cause I
Yeah.
thought I saw something and I
I'm
didn't
not
see
part
it
of
in there.
Frolics this year though.
Okay, well, that's what I was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
because I
Not
thought I
me.
saw a Frolics request.
No, I handed that
Okay.
off to someone else.
So it's not in this, I didn't see the package, okay.
Not yet. All right, so then moving on, we have a briefing note for Canada Housing Infrastructure CHIP funding. Someone could move that. All right,
I'll move that council direct administration to pursue partner capital commitments in support of a Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund application for the Tower Pump House refurbishment and SCADA modernization project, and if such commitments cannot be secured, pivot to a secondary application for the Klondike Caribou Lift Station replacement.
thank you. Second by? Okay, Councilor Coupet. Is there questions?
What's SCADA? That's SCADA, what's that stand for?
Oh, it's a, well, I'll call it, yes, yeah, I think it's just a technical term for the equipment used in the water treatment, isn't it? Isn't that what it is?
I believe it's a data monitoring
Yeah.
system where the operators are able to access information remotely in order to operate the plant more efficiently and have real-time data.
Okay, thank you.
That was a better definition of this, technical term to look at water.
Thingamajiggy.
Yeah. Is there any other questions here? All right, all in favor? Perfect, passed unanimously. So next we have the briefing note in attendance for our end of the TAC 2026.
It's not a motion.
No, it's just, a-
Conversation.
you want us to have a conversation, so
Yes, please.
how would I go around the room, people's intention, if they'd like to attend this NWTAC? Maybe I'll start with Connie,
Where is it?
Yellowknife, like last year,
Oh,
same thing.
Sure.
You'd be interested? As described in the briefing note, there was a monetary value attached to that, so it's about $333,000 for each of us to go. All right, and then Patty,
I'm booked already.
you're going, are you going as someone else that's represented?
No,
Okay,
I just booked.
it is booked, okay.
Yellowknife in February. I think I'll pass.
You're gonna pass?
Yes,
So you just, okay,
I'd save $3,000.
okay,
I'm also booked at that time.
You both did that, okay.
I was planning on going since I'm a representative on the NWTAC, and this is one of the ones where they actually let the communities pay. They do cover my other meetings that I go to, but this one we have to cover, so yes, I'd like to go.
Perfect, thank you. Councilor Tucky?
Can't commit at this time in time, because,
Okay.
I gotta double check my schedule. My first thought was, after going to the NWT, this recent one, there's, I really get that they do a good show and it's productive, but I'm also leery on costing $3,300 a counselor if there's a lot of people going, so I'll check my schedule and see if there's not many counselors going, I'll try, but if there's already enough people going that they can give us the closed notes version, I think it's prudent to send a limited number of people.
Thank you. Councilor Brett?
Uncertain at this time, I may attempt to go in a different capacity.
Okay, for sure. So then, including myself, then that's really only 4 that have been able to commit, and then a few that we'll get back to.
We just need confirmation by next meeting. if
By
possible.
next meeting? Okay,
Just so I can start booking hotels.
I'll circulate an email. All right, so next we have the briefing note donation request regarding the Fort Smith and the Senior
Do
Society.
I need to leave the room?
No, but you just may not comment.
Yeah, I won't
Yeah.
go to a comment, but I just want to know if I need to leave or not. I don't
Can we
benefit
stare you
financially.
down?
I don't, maybe you should leave actually. Yeah. Yeah.
just to be safe.
Yeah.
So we can say all the nasty things we need to say.
Okay, all right, so if I can have someone move the donation request?
I move that council approve the Fort Smith Senior Society's request for an in-kind donation by waiving the rental fees and staff costs for the use of the Recreation Center gym on Sunday, December 14th, 2025 in support of their annual Christmas dinner.
Thank you. Seconded by? Councilor Corbett. All right, so discussion?
Just one question on the gym is, historically, what's been the practice? Have we done this before?
I believe we have in the past donated the use of the gym for this, yes.
So this is not a new request, this is something we've seen before. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Did you know?
Sorry if this is in here. Do we know how much that cost is? I'm just looking.
I don't think it's in here.
I think it's very limited.
I think it'd be under $500.
For sure.
We rented it for birthday parties, so can't be.
So the.
I don't have the exact cost of the gym rental, but as someone said, I would assume that it's, under $500. If you wish, I could get you those numbers.
No.
Okay.
Cost $500 to get
So
that.
it's gonna come from whatever's remaining of our, okay.
And we did have one today, and there was amounts left in both of our public relations and our donation requests, right? So there is monies left in there.
Cool.
Any other questions? All in favor? Or did you have a question?
I don't know, I'm thinking about it.
Well, we're not.
Yeah, I guess maybe just for discussion purposes, I'm just wondering, like how much we already support the senior society and if our funds are limited. It sounds like $500 is or less is quite a small thing, so that's why I don't know if it's worth discussing too much. But I do think we as a town already provide a ton of support for the organization, and that support might be better spent elsewhere.
Thank you. SAO, we had a significant amount of money left in our donation and public relations for this year.
Yeah, I believe it was $1,600 is left in the donations budget, and also there's over $15,000, I believe, in the public relations budget. And also, council had directed that the money saved from eliminating one meeting per month of this group, that would go also to support community-led initiatives like this as well. So, you know, that's an additional $3,000, or I believe it was $1,600 for this year. So, yeah, there is a sizable pot of money there that should the town get any other requests that I feel that we should be able to accommodate those as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Crevet?
I'm typically not one to jump out, I think what the senior society does for our community benefits a lot of people. They do a lot of fundraising for different groups and things like that. So providing them with our gym and staff to set it up and things like that, I think is a minimal gesture of face. Job well done. Thank you for what you do for our community.
Thank you.
Totally agree.
All right. Any other, yeah, or, nope, that was just a thumbs up. Okay. Idea. All right, all in favor? Okay, passed.
So you wanna let Al back in?
We said no.
As long as it comes out of your paycheck, Al, we're good.
All right, so the next is a donation request for Uncle Gabe's Friendship Center.
I should probably remove myself.
Okay,
Just to be fair.
yeah.
Adam's gonna speak against this one.
If I can have someone move this, please?
I'll move that council approve a donation. Do we need to have a dollars amount, or does that come under,
They didn't ask for a specific amount in their letter. I was just, I knew that would.
because I hate to have a motion that doesn't actually say.
Blank check motion.
Yeah.
Well, we can discuss it in a minute, right?
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. The council approve a donation to be determined to Uncle Gabe's Friendship Center in support of their 2025 Food Hamper Initiative with a contribution amount to be determined
Thank you.
by council.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you. All right, so, did they give us any clarification on amounts that they might have been looking for? Or have we given a dollar amount in the past?
We haven't received anything in the last few years for this one.
Councillor Quebec?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know this came up much earlier, I think back in March or so, where we also received a request from another organization that didn't ask for a specific amount, and I think we tagged $250 as a minimum, sort of like a baseline one. Being that this is, again, another organization that does admirable work within our community, supporting youth, making sure vulnerable kids are fed at lunchtime and things like that, I would like to suggest that we look at a $500 donation as a minimum.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah.
Are we likely to receive any other donation requests between now and the end of the year with those pots of money that I may or may not have overheard when I was
Thank you.
next door?
SAO?
I'm not aware of any requests that we're waiting for. It is sort of hit and miss, you know, what may be coming and what may not be. But again, it's a discussion we had around the previous donation requests that, and the councillor pointed out that it is within, you know, sort of equal amounts. So hard to say how many other requests we may get, but with a substantial amount of money that's still left in the public relations budget, and as discussed earlier, the money saved from your council meetings, I think that, you know, this would be reasonable and that we could deal with the other requests as they come. The hard part is trying to anticipate what may be coming, and, you know, you want to save money for those types of things, but, you know, if they don't come, then you haven't had the impact that you might have.
Why not? I don't know if anyone's gone grocery shopping lately, but $500 isn't gonna get a whole heck of a lot. I would be interested in at least 1,000. like, it sounds like there was a little bit of money left, the year's coming to an end. I think it's a good cause, it's a great organization, and I think they do a lot to support this community. And like I said, grocery prices being what they are, I would prefer to see $1,000.
Thank you. Councillor, Rubin, you had your hand up?
Well, I was just going to indicate that, based on, the information provided by the SAO with our balance and those things, there really isn't a lot of time left for people to get applications in either, so. There's one meeting left for people to
Don't jinx it.
put it in, so, I would support, Councillor Karashek's, suggestion.
Amendment, you're open to the amendment?
Yes.
Does anyone else have anything they want to change in the value? Okay, so, yeah. Change it as amended to $1,000? Yeah, well, yeah.
So I just, I think, I'm okay with that for now, for this one, but I think once you start getting up into that amount, going forward, it might be nice to see a larger, I mean, given our budget situation, I think it's fine this time, but and going forward, if there's things in that amount, it might be nice to see more detail on kind of financials, impacts, right? So how many kids are being fed, how many meals, what are the deliverables, things like that, just so we can have a better informed
You're
case.
seeking Councillor Cruvette's,
Yeah, I think we all know this is for a good cause, so I don't think there's any issue, but just to help keep the standard, keep it even going forward, and maybe even having that periodic call for donations or something as we go forward, like throughout the year to help try and slam, so we're not trying to balance that out and figure it out, but something to discuss later on the 22nd.
Nicole?
well, I'm just, anyone else? No? Nothing? No?
Really support them all, what we give them?
All right, so it reads that council will approve a donation to Uncle Gabe's Friendship Center for $1,000 in support of the 2025 food hamper initiative. Okay, awesome. All in favor? Okay, passed. Hey Patty.
Just made it upstairs.
I went all the way upstairs. Okay.
Oh, I didn't, I just.
I can tell.
Yeah, bang the roof.
Good man.
Okay, so moving on to council business, bylaws and policies. If I could have someone move the third reading of the administration bylaw?
Oh, sorry, that was supposed to say first reading.
Or, sorry, first reading.
I'll move that the Jim Hood.
Appointment bylaw.
Is that what it's supposed to say?
It is the box
Oh,
is
I'm
correct.
reading it.
Thank you. What?
It's supposed to be 1073?
1073
Okay.
SAO.
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry.
I'll move that the Jim Hood SAO appointment bylaw 1073 be given first reading.
Correct, thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Covet. Discussion? All in favor?
Other than say, welcome back, Jim.
Welcome back, Jim.
Oh, yeah,
Woo.
he's something to hear.
Perfect, it was passed.
Say about the bylaw number or number of times he's been hired?
Yes?
I'm just wondering whether it'd be appropriate at this time, since we have all council members in attendance, to give it second and third reading.
Oh, we totally could. All right,
We're all here, yeah.
Good point.
thank you. SAO?
I would think it would be appropriate to give it second reading this evening, and where we have another meeting next week, well, you could receive third reading then, and then the appointment would be in place for January 1, so, which is what the bylaw is intended for. It's at the end of my acting appointment that it would become a.
Okay, perfect. So if someone wants to give this second reading?
I move that, Jim Hood, SAO appointment bylaw number 1073 be given second reading.
Thank you. Seconded by? Councillor Tucky. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, it is passed. Thank you. All right, so now we're moving on to our mayor and council board representatives. I'll hand it off to Councilor Chucky and we'll go around the room.
Well, again, I haven't been around government, so I don't have much to say. Actually, my written disease, I can do.
No problem.
Okay.
That's all good. Go ahead, Councilor Chucky.
I think I covered my stuff already. Yeah, the river erosion workshop was great. Lots of take-home information for that. If anybody wants more info, like, feel free to talk to me, or I guess. No, so that's it.
All right, thank you. Councilor Creel?
Okay, just one issue I would like to bring up, sort of as part of the sitting on the NTPC Intervention Committee. It's been several months since we've had an update from the Power Corporation about their fantastic operation out at Tolston and status of the repair to the surge tank, which has rendered us a non-hydro community for much too long again. So I would like to suggest that maybe our mayor would invite the Power Corp to come over for our next meeting and do a quick delegation and give us an update on the status of the repairs, when we can expect to be returned to hydro, and maybe start providing a bit of background. I was notified today by our consultant that for the 2026 capital plan, he noticed there's now a new budget item in there for a $10 million repair to the surge tank, and how that's going to impact ongoing rates and rate application. And how such a blunt, like, they just spent $110 million on a midlife retrofit of the damn thing, and they missed that, but
All
come
right,
on.
thank you.
And that's it for my rant.
Okay, noted. I'm gonna over that. Councilor Benoit?
I just want to thank Northern Lights for inviting us to their Christmas dinner. It was very nice to sit there and mingle with the elders, especially with Pi Kennedy. He just turned 99 years old and spry as ever.
Yeah.
So that was really nice to sit there and have dinner with him, Christmas dinner. And want to give my condolences to everybody who's grieving in this community. We've had a few losses from different families, and I guess the Santa Claus run is tomorrow. So I just want drivers to be aware that there's going to be a few Santa Clauses out running the streets, so slow down. Thank you.
Sure. So I'm gonna get it out today because I think next week my brain will be budgetary mush. So the food bank is busy as ever. Like, lots of people are sticking around town because of the cost of traveling home. So for some students as well. So any type of food donations will be accepted, and please highly encourage monetary funds as well. I think you can probably get what is it? It's like get a tax receipt if you like do a donation or something, right? It's like a write-off if your company does it. I was at the Christmas parade. That was fun. Santa waved at me and my two dogs just standing on the cold corner. But it was nice to see it. This thrift store, I really do want to thank all of the volunteers that have been supporting that. Definitely Miss Maureen. She's been running that thing Monday to Saturday as a volunteer all been year. So thank you, Miss Maureen. And Gary, he's our security at the front. Natalie, Georgette, Lois, and then the other high school students that do come by to help with calm hours. So thank you to them. Plug for Moonlight Madness this Friday, 6 to 9, all around town. Spend your money local, people. And then for the JBT Christmas concert, They're doing a VIP package for auction, so you get reserved parking, front row seats, and light refreshments. So you can bid to your heart's content on the JBT auction page. It's going to a really good cause, supporting our young people, so masicho.
Thank you. Dr. Bishop?
Well, I'm gonna keep on the Christmas theme and build on Councillor Benwell. She did say that the Santa run is tomorrow, and there will be tea and some light goodies in the yurt in front of the school, and they are accepting cash donations for the food bank. So if you have a chance, stop by for tea and lighten your wallet a little bit. Seniors are having their annual Christmas dinner, as you have passed at the gym. That's this Sunday at 5 o'clock, so all seniors are welcome to come, and Santa will be there. There'll be some picture opportunities, and I just wanted to wish everyone, well, no, not yet, because we have one more meeting before Christmas, so that's all I'll say for now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't sit in on any board meetings or anything like that, but did attend the museum, had their pancake breakfast on the weekend. Santa was there as well. And yeah, just a well done event, and nice to, it's always nice when they're the activities they run, and just to see all the community members out there.
And how many pancakes did Santa eat?
I didn't see it. Santa was busy with taking care of kids and photos.
Just to remind everybody, the NWTAC AGM, we talked about attendance. There's also a call for resolutions. We did 2 last year, Power Corp and a Vision for the Northwest Territories. Both were accepted and put on the slate. They're looking for new resolutions this year. So again, I remind you, we'd like to hear from you probably early January if you have anything, because you always have one. But if anybody's got a resolution, something that can be Fort Smith specific or territorial wide, our last 2 were territorial wide, and that they were well received for that reason, Fort Smith looking at the whole territory. So, but yes, if you've got anything that you'd like to be brought up to the GNWG as a resolution to look at, please give us some thought, put down some words. Dana will chat GPT it that we find. I will jump on the Christmas bandwagon. Santa has definitely been seen around town. And was in the Christmas season has certainly begun in Fort Smith. The seniors dinner he attended and visited with a lot of old friends. Had some very, very moving discussions with some very old friends. It was a pretty particularly meaningful visit, that one. And lots of pictures with families. It was a great, great event. And I should comment, because my 5-year-old grandson was quite excited, that the lights are definitely up on the poles. And we played the game of driving home and him identifying whatever was on every pole. So, do the lights still have an impact? Well, my 5-year-old grandson would tell you they do, because he loved guessing what each one was as we drove down McDougal. So Fort Smith is also there for Christmas.
Awesome.
There, I'll hand it to you.
Sure, thanks. So it was busy in the office with letters. So I wrote a letter to infrastructure, to the MLA about water, NWT housing, Wood Buffalo National Park, and a letter to support Fort Smith is sending, not Fort Smith, but a team is representing Fort Smith at the annual Provincial Native Hockey Championships. And I haven't received any information back from any of the letters that I've sent out in response to what I've sent out, but I'm actively writing letters, almost like, feels like 2 a week. I talked to, hopefully, media will write on, they called out for, they're doing stories about after action regarding fires, mental health and wellness and that sort of thing, so I think they're doing up some sort of workup or write-up on that, so look for that. It was canceled, the leadership meeting was canceled with the CEO of the Fort Smith Hospital, but again, always bringing up the safety, the room and services and service levels, so I wasn't able to ask those kind of questions about what it looks like for us for the next couple months for service levels, but I think we were okay. And on this Thursday, we're having, TLC is gathering, we're having a leadership meeting with all the representation there, and so hopefully we'll get everybody together. And just a big shout out to municipal services. Someone had come up to me and said thank you about our roads. They're being, I was like, thank you for saying thank you. But they said job well done and good job of getting out there and getting it roads cleared and safe and sanded for everyone. So that was awesome. That's it. So the dates of our next council meeting is December 16th. Next week, yeah, December 16th at 7 p.m. We're all have a workshop on December 22nd, but that's just a private workshop for budgetary stuff. And then the next meeting of the new year is January 13th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Madam Mayor, did you want to call for a volunteer chair for the 16th meeting?
Who would like to chair for the 16th meeting?
Carl's supposed to be tonight.
I forgot. Like, you guys gonna? I'll just do it if you don't tell me. So I guess Carl's doing the next one.
Sure.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. We have no.
So,
Yeah.
I'd just like to make a routine of
I
this.
would for sure. We could just go around the circle too, like Carl. That would work. We have no one to excuse because we are all here. This is a question period if you have anything for us.
Yeah, I did think of a couple of questions. Is there any estimated timeline for when the budget will be approved?
January 20th.
January 20th? Okay, great. And for sending in the stats that you requested, would that just go to like the executive summary?
Correct.
Yeah, all right.
they'll get it out to us.
Right. And I guess more of a comment, but just some of the options that were discussed in the briefing note do involve the society being able to continue as a society. So just keep in mind if that does have to dissolve, then I'm hoping that we'll be able to pivot. But
Your AGM is what date again?
the date exactly isn't set, but it'll be late February, usually around the 26th, that last week of
Good, I
February.
thought you were telling me early January, so that gives us some breathing room, but it
Good,
gives us
late
a deadline, that's good.
Good, okay, so that timeline seems to work out.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sorry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And just to add, with the bylaws that are gonna hopefully come in for animal care and welfare, I feel like there may be a bit of a tsunami effect of like now that the guys can actually enforce, we may have more dogs coming in. So even if this was a short solution that could be readdressed in 2 years with getting on top of spay neuter, education, something like that, and then if we didn't need that level of support again because we got the numbers under control. But I do worry that with bylaws, we'll actually get on top of it, but it means a lot more animals will be in. Because like we said, we don't make a lot of money out of getting dogs in for the day because people just let them go, right? It's just like, oh, you can keep it. So that means $1,000+ for us for a spay neuter. So it does worry me that short, immediate need for a year or two to transition into a responsible town. Okay.
Thank you.
I move we adjourn at 8:27.
All right, seconded by
I'll second.
Dr. Chuck. All in favor? We are adjourned.